Hey everybody, thank you for listening to this special episode of the Williams Pulse podcast. Today we have an alumni spotlight, and that light is on Richie Jester. I'm your host today, Bill Jeffrey, and Richie, thank you for joining us, man.
My pleasure. Great to be here. Thanks for inviting me, Bill.
So I invited you here because it's homecoming week, and you're here to lead chapel. What year did you graduate?
I graduated in 2003.
And did you lead chapel when you were a student here?
A lot, yes.
Like how often?
I would do it with in a few different formats. We would sometimes, as the band that we had called Cash Hall, that we would do it together sometimes. And
Your band name was Cash Hall?
It was. It was named after the dormitory we met in.
Did you can we play that music on this podcast? Like,
Sure.
can that be background stuff? Like, you give us permission to do that?
Yeah.
Okay, you're not going to, like, sue
Reminder,
us or anything?
it's 2003.
Okay.
Ish.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're saying it's not good.
I'm just saying it's 2003. You got to keep that in mind.
It was a different world back then.
And we were college students.
Dude, a lot of the listeners would not have been born at that point. That's
sad.
crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so you led worship a lot at chapel.
Chapel, we'd have in the gym.
On the stage or on the court?
On the court.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the students would sit in the bleachers?
Yes.
That's the way it was when I was a student, too. Oh, and Cash Hall, like, y'all didn't have a drummer. You had a djembe player.
At that time, we had a djembe player.
Did he play a lot in chapel, too?
He did. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And then since then, you have planted a church recently.
Yes.
Called Connections Church with an X in Mountain View, Missouri. Not Mountain View, Arkansas.
That's right.
Mountain View, Missouri. And you're from that Mountain View area?
I consider myself from Mountain View, yes.
Okay. Next question.
Okay.
You planted that church. You've been leading worship. You've been playing in bands. You've been doing all this stuff since 2003. What did you do at Williams that would have led everybody to be surprised that you have planted a church at this point? Because
I'm not sure what information you're getting out.
Well, here's the Cliff Notes version. You put a lot of rules in the rule book.
There
squad.
are rules in the rule book at Williams, I'm pretty sure, because of things I got mixed up in, Bill, is how I would put this. Yes.
Tell us.
None of it terribly bad. Just fun.
If I were to go pull your student file, what would be the funniest thing to read in there?
There would probably be something about camping on top of a building.
Which building?
It was the Student Affairs building. At that point, I'm sure it's still the Student Affairs building.
Probably so.
Okay.
Now, were you part of the crew that got out of there?
Don't do that, kids.
Yeah,
don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. It's not wise. Were you part of the crew that got caught up there, or were you part of the crew that woke up early and left before the other people got caught?
I was definitely still in the tent. Yes.
You guys were in a tent?
We actually popped a tent up and slept up there.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did you get caught?
One of our friends had early class, and he was supposed to wake us all up so that we could break camp and get down. He did not wake anybody up. He just left. I won't name any names there. Anyway, we get out of the tent, and it's about 8:30, and Student Affairs lady is down on the grass staring at the tent as we all lock eyes, and she's asking, "What are you guys doing up there?" And then we get in pretty big trouble.
What was the reason? Like, what did y'all say? Why were y'all up there?
We had kind of been making a point to camp in a lot of different places all year long.
Okay.
And it kind of worked its way to we would like to see if we can get one on top of a building and camp up there, and we found pretty easy access to that one.
I'm sure that access has been cut off.
I'm sure.
So it's crazy that this happened 20 plus years ago, and you're still afraid to say her name. Her name is Susan Watson.
Susan Watson.
She was a great dean of students.
Great lady.
Yes. I always have positive experiences with her, but I also never got into shenanigans.
Yeah.
Like you guys did.
The good news is we were not doing bad things. We loved this campus, and we were just having fun in a funny collegiate way.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's what we were doing.
You got a little bored. Cell phones hadn't come out at that point, really.
So you're surrounded in rice fields,
Yeah.
And corn, maybe. I don't know. But we were finding things to do on campus that we really enjoyed being on.
Mm-hmm. On that topic, what did you love about Williams?
I needed Williams at that point in my life, honestly, more than I even realized. I needed a campus that had a more real biblical experience that I had not had until that point. And turns out when I came to this college, I actually met all of my most deep long-lasting friendships, and those people all mean so much to me. They're still all in my life pretty much. And so it meant finding a real core of people that I could count on for most of my days. That's really what I think of when I think of Williams. Plus, man, it's really a beautiful campus. I love this campus. We were just talking about how beautiful the trees are, and I still remember how beautiful it's always been. So, but that's a huge part of it, and how personal all the professors have been in my experience here. Still, when I see some of my professors and doctors from classes, we strike up conversations. It's just like we never stopped being on this campus together. So it's pretty neat.
Yep.
Very personal.
Yeah. And I was a lot younger than you guys. But, dude, because of y'all, I didn't even apply to go anywhere else. Like, I knew I was going to come here. But when I got here, there weren't really anybody who was living up to these legendary stories of you guys throwing up milk on campus, camping on top of places, calling out Bert Stauber for some of his funnier moments.
Do you guys have phones in the dorm rooms still? That also kind of got us in trouble.
Which part?
Having room phones.
Okay, tell us what's that story.
We didn't sleep much either,
and
we tried to make sure other people didn't sleep much also. So we would spend having the landlines in your room was a terrible idea with guys like us. We spent many nights pranking, so not good. And then other groups kind of took that way too far. It was funny.
Yeah.
Other groups kind of took it far, but
yeah.
I don't remember many nights that we were actually asleep.
Yeah.
Asleep when we should have been.
Where was the go-to place in Jonesboro for y'all?
Go-to place? Well, we'd go to Jonesboro for movies. If we want to watch movies, we'd go to Jonesboro. We would eat at, now I can't remember the name of that restaurant.
Waffle House?
Oh, the best, right? Gotta have the Waffle House. O'Charlie's. We loved O'Charlie's.
Oh, yeah. That is a good place.
Yeah, that was like the new thing when we were
in
school here. Loved it.
Yep.
O'Charlie's. It was good. But really, we'd go to Jonesboro to get that big city feel, because you feel like in college you got to have that feel every now and then. There was good coffee there. We'd go get some good coffee sometimes. And then I visit a lot of churches in Jonesboro too. So on Sundays I would go to Jonesboro every now and then to go to church.
What did you like about Walnut Ridge at that time? Because it's changed a ton in the past 20 years.
Yeah, I haven't even seen it
really
recently. Yeah.
Well, we should go to lunch today.
Okay, we'll do that.
In Walnut Ridge, and so you can kind of see it. You've seen the Beatles Park, right?
No.
Okay.
There was a park that we would go to in Walnut Ridge. We'd go to a park and hang out.
It's probably Stewart Park.
Probably, that sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Pocahontas had the best Chinese.
What was its name?
Queen House. That's what it's called. The best General Tso chicken ever. And she would know you like by name when you came in the door, like the owner. And she would like be able to, she'd like go get the drinks as you were coming in the door.
Yeah.
She knew what drinks you wanted.
Probably because y'all went there every day.
It was probably 3 times a week, yeah.
The way I remember hearing the stories is you guys would leave there and somebody would be like, "We're never eating here again. I'm so sick. This is gross." And then the next morning you'd hear somebody go, "Queen House?" Okay.
Yeah, let's go. It was so good.
Yeah. We have a guy who is from Pocahontas who works here. And he said that the General Tso's back in the early 2000s at Queen House was unparalleled. It was just
I still
the
haven't
best.
found anything like it.
Yeah, he said, and he remembers vividly when they quit, or they got a different chef or something. And, well, tell me this: you've lived a lot of life. You have
what does that mean, Bill?
You have a couple kids.
Yes,
you're married.
Yeah,
you have a side hustle as a teacher.
That's right.
Are you coaching still?
I am coaching. I still coach baseball.
And you played baseball here.
I did for a brief stint until I couldn't get the music and baseball stuff to work out anymore. So
yeah,
I just chose music.
So tell me, because you didn't have phones.
Nope.
Back then.
Phone. I had a Nokia, but it wasn't like I wasn't as serious about it as it is now.
Yeah.
But yeah, we use those landlines.
Yeah. So tell me this. Did you enjoy your experience at Williams?
Absolutely.
How did Williams prepare you for what you're doing now in a way that you never would have foreseen?
As I said earlier, Williams came to me in my life at a time where I really needed it. The people that I met were the most important part of it. I wouldn't be doing what I am today had I not had the experience that I had here with the people I had that experience with. Like, the people I played music with, that I roomed with, that I came into contact with in my classes, like my professors. It's really neat to go to the Southern Baptist Convention and see, Ken Gore and talk with him and just like talk about the old times and how great that was. And he asked, and still, this was like 3 years ago, he asked me how music is going and all that stuff. That's a really neat personal experience that you're not going to get at any other school that I can think of. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I enjoyed about it. It was very personal, real. It's like family.
Yeah.
And that's the feel out that I wanted and needed.
So speaking of personal, who was y'all's band competition? Y'all were Cash Hall. Who was the other competition? Not on campus, but at maybe a sister university that tried to replicate what y'all were doing.
Well, there was a band on campus. It was a girl. It was a girl band. Can't remember who all was in it, but they were called Rough Places Smooth. It wasn't like competition, but it was it was one of the other bands that was kind of forming from this school. And then there was another band that they didn't do worship music, but they did like rock music that guys like Adam were in. And then our eventual drummer,
Window Pane Action Figure
was her name, and they did covers and they did their own music. Adam wrote a lot, but we stole their drummer later as we got more serious and we're traveling America.
So y'all's competition, if I remember correctly, at Washita was Maple Street.
Maple Street. I forgot about Maple Street. Yeah. They actually came here at one point. Yeah.
Yep. Did y'all ever go there?
We didn't.
Yeah, that was just a rivalry thing. It wasn't because y'all weren't good enough.
It was just we gauged how well we were doing off of what we experienced from them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that was one of our gauges when we were like a local.
Yeah.
Still.
You were a founding member of Cash Hall. You did Salem Springs camp a couple summers.
Yep.
And then
02 and 03.
And then what year did the name change from Cash Hall to?
It was it turned to Calls from Home because our style changed a bit. We still did worship music also, but we started writing more performance-based songs, recorded songs. It would have been 2004 that the name change happened, and we started traveling a whole lot more.
Is it okay if I play a couple samples so people can just hear the difference from where you were to where you are now?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Open up the gates of mercy, living water flow within. Wake up! Something hold on. Think you're right enough.
Yeah, that's quite a drastic change, I would say.
Yeah.
Acoustic djembe to rock and roll guitars.
Yeah, well, there was a couple of EPs that we made between, so that we had that first Cash Hall worship album with the djembe.
So you had a safe on ramp, is what you're saying, to get to this new place.
We grew. We've continued to figure out kind of who we were, and what music we really wanted to be playing. Thing was, we didn't want to just be playing in churches. We wanted to be able to play anywhere. And have real conversations. That was our goal. Be able to take our music to any venue and let our music speak for itself and then have real conversations with people.
Now, what year did the big album come out?
That big album came out in 2005.
Okay, and at that point, you're super hopeful, optimistic, excited. I mean, y'all invested a lot of money and time into making that album.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Now, it ended.
Okay. Yeah, it did.
Well, in my mind, it ended. It might still be going on in your mind. There's still a chance that album could take off.
No, so that album, we had some success off that album.
I loved it.
Yeah, a lot of people.
The Fight is my favorite song off there.
That is my favorite song, Bill.
Yeah, every time I tell it to Chuck Miller, he's like, good, because that song cost us about half our budget because Richie had to get the song right. And I love those little.
That was one of my babies. So
yeah. Well, it paid off in my mind.
Yeah, I had an idea and I wanted it to be that way.
Yeah.
But
one of my friends in high school, and I know this song is not about this, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I know it's not. But one of my friends in high school, his brother died unexpectedly. And I took like the whole week off to hang out with him. I mean, we were so close. We church friends, you know, and we listened to The Fight and then the song right after a ton. And we went to Waffle House a ton, or like that week and then the next. And so that's when I found out from Chuck, because I told him like that song really meant a lot to me. He was like, well, that's good because that song can cost, you know, this amount of money to make happen. But yeah, so that's, yeah, anyways, I think the reach and scope of what y'all wanted to do with that album, it really did have a big impact, especially on me. But it all ended eventually.
Yes.
Like, you're not opening up for U2 right now.
No, we're not.
So,
but God definitely used that portion of my life for prepping me for the things that I do now, honestly. Every time I set up and tear down church, which is what we're doing now, you know, we're set up and tear down. We're meeting in a school. So every week I go, man, how much I did this night in, night out on the road. And, you know, this is easy. Like setting it up once a week, that's easy.
Yeah.
And like other people see it as a burden. I'm like, this is nothing. I was like trained for this. So.
Right. It's muscle memory.
Yeah,
it's like, it's mindless work, you know? Sometimes I get impatient with people and they're like, I don't know how this sound system works. I'm like,
I know.
Output to input to output. It's just
it's like water.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way to say it.
Yeah.
Y'all traveled a ton?
We traveled a ton. Yeah. We traveled hard for a couple of years.
How many states did you hit?
I think our last count eventually was 39 states that we'd played in.
Okay. Did y'all have a van, I guess?
We had a van and trailer. Yep.
And man, you spent a long time in that van. Were you the driver?
We sure did. A lot, yeah. I mean, we had a good rotation. There was 4 of us that actually would drive.
Yeah. Was that tough? Like being on the road?
Yeah.
Have you heard Ben Rector's song about how he's like, I grew up dreaming about being on the road, and now that I'm doing it, all I want to do is be home.
Yeah. Yeah. I completely know what that feels like. It's one of the reasons that I started considering whether or not I needed to keep doing it. I'm a homebody, like I just am. Mm-hmm. We were at a place where there was really a precipice. We had to we knew we would have to keep doing this the way we were doing it for probably a couple more years, or go into heavy debt with a label, which is just not a fun.
How is that going to work? Like because you would think if you're in with a label, they pay you. And then it becomes like salary. But
but you owe them for what they pay you. That's the thing. They pay you and you pay them back through album sales. That's kind of how the deal works.
So you have to meet a minimum requirement of album sales?
Yeah. I mean, it would be whatever it took, and depending on what you're selling your albums for.
Gotcha.
But that's kind of the concept of how labels work. They front all the stuff that you need or want and what you could afford. So and then you pay them back through the sales.
Would you have done that? Or
that's what we were on the precipice of doing.
Okay, and then what happened?
As we were out on the road, and we were, getting close with a few labels. The last one we were talking to was Ardent Records, and it kind of just felt like it was not going to happen. And at that point, I was literally already thinking about, can I keep doing this? Can I keep traveling like this? I love it, but I also don't love it,
Yeah.
And there was something in me just kind of saying, this is supposed to be part of your life, but this isn't it.
Yeah.
This isn't it. And I kept feeling that.
I know what song you would soundtrack to that story. Do you know what that song is?
Which one?
It's by a band named U2.
Oh. Still?
No, that is a great song. But no, With or Without You.
Oh.
Because it talks about that tension of you have the love of your life.
You're right.
And you have your music.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you and I guess what he's saying though is like you have the love of your life and then you have your family.
Right.
So it's this tension, but it's a whole idea of passion and purpose. And I never was in a band that got as nearly as big as y'all did. But I did get a taste of it with what I was doing and the travel and the D-Nows and the summer camps.
Yeah.
I mean, our drummer that recorded with us in Nashville and played with us for like 3 years is the music director for King and Country now. Wow. I mean, I couldn't even take care of the guitars for King and Country. Right. And he's over there on this, world tour with them and directing everything and playing drums. So that's, you know, as close as I ever got.
Yeah.
But I mean, I loved it. You know, like I wanted to do that with my life. But also, but I never got to taste the depth of the bad.
There were things that didn't go the way we wanted to, but I don't remember much bad. Like, I was tired. Personally, I had gone
Sure.
through a stint of hard in my life. That kind of didn't help with the timing. I was seeking for, at that point in my life, I was seeking for like a foundation. Like I needed to know that I had a home and a family. So that was part of it.
Yeah. The guys who were in the band were your best friends, though.
Still, yeah.
Yeah. So did that help? Like, because
Again, that's and that goes right to why Williams is so important to me. You know, those guys in that band, all of us were from here, and so this is where it started. You know, us leading worship here on campus, and I mean, I will always have an affinity for this place, for what it has done, what it started in my life, and what it has actually still continued to be a major part of who I am. So huge.
Awesome. Well, let's wrap it up there, man. That's appreciate you sharing all that with us.
You bet.
So,
Thanks for letting me join you.
yeah, we recorded this right before we got ready for chapel. So, you ready to go play some music together?
Let's play the musics.
Let's do it.